That's why you have that range of like, okay, you should retwist your hair every like 4 to 6 weeks, but some people could probably get away with 8 weeks. I can't do that, but you have a range. Hey baes, welcome back to my channel. On today's video, I'm going to be talking about some of the ways that you could be secretly destroying your locks. We're going to be talking about some of the practices that you may be doing on your everyday routine with your locks that could be more damaging than they could be beneficial. So let's go ahead and jump right into things. The most common way in which people could actually be damaging and destroying their locks is too much manipulation and over retwisting of the roots of their locks. Having locks is a very low manipulation way to actually keep your hair. Less is more. Locks really don't require a lot of maintenance in order to be locks. Now that does not mean that you don't have a routine with your locks, but the routine that you do implement with your locks is very simple. Misting it with water or rose water, using light oils to seal in that moisture, having a routine every 4 to 6 or 8 weeks in which you retwist it, or if you're somebody that does interlocking, that would be like every 8 to 12 weeks, and really just making sure that you're keeping your scalp clean in between maintenances is all that you really need when it comes to having locks, right? Now, if you're somebody that chooses to do lock styling, you want to be mindful of the frequency in which you're getting lock styling done, but also how long you actually keep those styles in for. In order to have locks, you do not need to keep your hair in a lock style 24/7. I rarely style my locks, and that's one thing that you will never really see on this channel when it comes to my hair, is you'll never see me doing a bunch of tutorials of me styling my locks, because I don't style my locks often at all. I have my locks up in a bun right now. They're actually in 2-strand twists that I installed on my locks when I retwisted my locks almost 3 weeks ago. I still have the 2-strand twist in. It looks great. And today I decided to throw the 2-strand twist up into this bun. A very loose bun, by the way, that I only used with just 2 scrunchies. Styling is not necessary, and if you're somebody that chooses to do lock styling, you can, but just be mindful of the tension, how tight it is, and then also how long you actually keep it in for. Now, a style like this, 2-strand twist, is a very low manipulation style, right? So I've been able to keep this style in for almost going on a month now at this point. But I'm talking about more intense styling, you know, things where you're manipulating and you're pulling the hair back, even doing things like barrel twists and keeping them in for a long time. You want to be mindful of the tension of that on your hairline and your edges. If somebody's doing wigs over your locks, or if you're adding like hair and doing like box braids and like extended twists on your locks, just be mindful of the weight of those things, right? Those can also be very heavy and again cause tension on your scalp that can lead to breaking and thinning over time. So anytime that you're doing any styling, always be mindful that your locks do need a period in which they're resting. You know, there's not any tension or pulling being done. And the same even goes for retwisting your locks, right? You want to make sure that you are not retwisting too often, but you also don't want to delay maintenance on your hair too, because that can also cause thinning over time depending how fine your hair may be. So really, having locks is a very low manipulation way to keep your hair, but it also does require patience in terms of you actually learning your hair type and your hair needs and following a routine that aligns with that. And I always say this too, like having locks allows you to really spend time with your hair in a way that you may have not been able to do it before. And this is coming from somebody who has had natural hair their entire lives, but having locks is still a different way of keeping my hair versus loose natural hair, right? So I have to learn over time in the 3.5 years that I have been locked, going on 4, that okay, my hair definitely needs to be maintained. My hair does well when I spritz it once a week, you know, with water and rose water. But during the winter months, I have to up it up a little bit. My hair does well with certain oils. My hair does very well when I retwist it every like 4 to 5 weeks. So basically once a month. If I go beyond that and stretch it out for like 2-3 months, I do experience a little bit of breaking and thinning because the back of my hair texture is a lot looser. It's a lot finer. These are things that I've learned over time. You don't want to be manipulating your locks too often. Give it a period in which it could have a time to kind of just rest in between styling, and also just giving yourself the opportunity to make sure that you're spacing out your retwist in a manner that is still coinciding with the texture of your hair. So you're not doing it too often and causing too much tension, but also you're not delaying it too often as well, if that makes sense. So that's why you have that range of like, okay, you should retwist your hair every like 4 to 6 weeks, but some people could probably get away with 8 weeks. I can't do that, but you have a range. Another way that you can also be destroying your locks is from product buildup, in particular from using heavy products. So again, you want to be using lightweight products, cream-based conditioners. I only use those on my locks personally, and this is rinse out conditioner during the winter months, but I do use a water-based leave-in conditioning spray every time I wash my hair, right? Because that's lightweight. You want to avoid using heavy waxes and gels on your hair because this causes product buildup, but it could also make it very difficult to remove that product buildup. And sometimes in the effort to try to remove it, you over manipulate your locks, and then that can lead to damaging it, thinning it, causing your hair to break off. Alongside being mindful of the products that you're using, you also want to make sure that you are keeping up, again, with making sure that you are obviously following a routine when it comes to washing your hair, but also make sure that you're properly drying your hair afterwards. And this is a big thing, okay? When it comes to drying your locks, you want to make sure that your locks are actually dry before you go to bed. You do not want to wake up the next day and your locks are still wet, because what that can do over time, that trapped moisture can lead to mold and mildew within your locks. Because you have to understand, locks, they're not hollow. They're very, I hope I use that word right, but they are very, it's a lock is formed from a bunch of hairs that have tangled together. So it's solid, like there's some weight to it. And if you're allowing water to penetrate that, but you're not allowing it to properly dry, as much as hydration is important, you also want to make sure that you're allowing your hair the time to properly dry and avoid mildew and mold. And I personally don't know anybody who has experienced that, but I've seen it on social media and it does not look or smell, I can't imagine it smelling pleasant whatsoever, right? So fully drying, you can use a hooded dryer, and I have all of these things that I'm talking about, all the products that I use on my locks. I have it available in my product list guide. You can go ahead and grab it for yourself. I'll leave it in the description box. It has all the products that I use on my locks, but one of the things that I like to use is a hooded bonnet hair dryer. So you attach it right to your regular hair dryer and you put it on, and you just can sit down and you can be on your phone or watch TV while your hair is drying, making sure that your hair is dry after wash days. If you are in a position where you can actually go outside and let the sunlight from outside kind of aid and help drying your hair, letting it air dry that way, that is amazing too. I do like to do that during the summertime, but during the wintertime, that ain't gonna happen. We gonna dry it inside with a blow dryer, okay? Make sure that your hair is dry before you go to sleep at night. Another way that you can be damaging and destroying your locks is just overall neglecting like your moisture and your scalp care, right? So a lot of people have this idea, and I talked about this in my last video, where they feel like when they start their locks that they have to prolong washing their locks for the first time as long as they possibly can because they don't want their hair to unravel. And you have to remember, you guys, like the locking process takes time. Your hair will not lock overnight. It's also not going to be fully locked within a month, and it's also not going to be fully locked within 2 months. Prolonging washing your hair for the first time is really not going to help the locking process and prevent it from locking itself, because that process does not happen in the first 2 months of your hair anyways, having 2-strand twisting or curls. Like, it takes some time. Prioritizing scalp care, the health of your scalp, the health of the scalp environment is most important to any healthy hair, whether you have locks or not. So make sure that you are taking care of your actual scalp care, making sure that you're paying attention to what's going on with your scalp. If it's itchy, if it's flaky, address those things. Another thing that can also be very damaging to locks, and I don't talk about this too much because I personally don't do it, but I've seen in a lot of videos how it can be damaging, is bleaching locks. I've never bleached my hair before. I will never do it. But as you can imagine, bleaching your hair can be and I don't want to say bleaching your hair can be damaging, because I don't want to be ignorant and say that, but the care that comes after doing such an intense process on your hair and using chemicals is very important. And so being mindful, not to say that bleaching your hair is damaging your hair, right? But just to say that if you're going to bleach your hair, also make sure that you are following up with a routine in terms of keeping it healthy and moisturized. Also being mindful to prevent product buildup, but also if it does happen, making sure that you have a plan in place to actually addressing it. So using clarifying shampoos is a great way to help prevent and remove product buildup, but also incorporating lock detoxes. And there are so many videos out there of people showing how they detox their locks. I personally, although I have not done it this summer, I actually need to do it. I like to detox my locks twice a year, once every 6 months. I started doing that about a year into my lock journey. And it really does help to remove a lot of buildup that you may not be able to easily get just from, you know, using a clarifying shampoo, some of that more embedded product buildup, right? But also, again, don't prolong or ignoring doing detoxes throughout your lock journey. Over time, buildup can really clog your locks, making them look dull in appearance, but also it can prevent proper moisture retention. That product buildup literally exists as a barrier between your hair strands being able to absorb moisture. So again, using a clarifying shampoo will aid with preventing that, but also you can incorporate lock detoxes using, you know, a basin, filling it up with water, adding some apple cider vinegar, some baking soda, and really helping to kind of agitate the locks, and that will help remove some of that product buildup. And I do have a video on my page where I did a lock detox, but I think it's time for an updated video, so I will be doing one very, 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 very soon. Definitely before the end of this year, which is only 2 months away. Okay, you guys, so that is all the points when it comes to today's video on some practices and things that you may be doing that could be destroying and harmful to your locks, and things that you can do differently to prevent that from continuing happening. So leave some comments below letting me know if there's some things that you may have done in the past that were very damaging and harmful to your locks, and what did you do to correct it. Let's talk about it below. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.